was my man. That was my fucking man. Was my man, and he wanted my daughter.
Well, you should have some idea what we're going to be talking about today just based on that clip from Precious. We'll be talking about single mothers that are so desperate to have a man in their life that they are willing to jeopardize their children's safety and have a man in a home that is extremely perverted, harassing, sexually assaulting, and molesting their children. So in all fairness, I have to start off with the videos that inspired this whole segment today. I watched some videos. Actually, the first one I found on TikTok, I was just swiping and I came across it, and I actually logged out of TikTok and I went on to Google so that I can get some more information about it. And then I'm just such an inquisitive person. I was able to go online and find out other similar stories, and it just really bothered me, and it brought back a lot of memories that I had repressed for a really long time.
Here on 7 News.
I waive my rights.
Shut up. Don't talk in here.
I waive my rights.
Don't talk
I
in
waive
here.
my rights.
The man deputies say got an 11-year-old pregnant walking out on his own bond hearing.
He's not going to get bond anyway. He's bond denied. I cannot set bond on anything carries up to life in prison.
Investigators say Derrick Kendall Burris assaulted a girl and got her pregnant at 11 years old. Detectives say she is related to an acquaintance of the suspect, and DNA proves Burris is the father of the now 12-year-old girl's baby. Investigators say the girl originally told school personnel the assault was by someone closer to her age, and eventually told them it was Burris.
So y'all can, do your own research on that. Reason why I brought that up is because, first of all, we don't even need to talk about right from wrong. We already know. That was nasty. What I do want to say is, what I don't respect about the media and the news is that they're not holding everybody accountable. In the articles, they will say that the reason why he was associated with that underage girl was because he was a friend or he was an associate of one of her relatives. When I did some more research, it was said, and I don't know whether this is true or not, it came from social media. In the comments, somebody said that it was said that it was her mom's boyfriend, which it makes perfect sense, because how would he have this much access to her to get away with something like that? So they protect the mother's identity by not saying exactly how he had access to this girl. And that's another pattern I see in the media that I cannot stand. Those are what you call enablers. They have just as much involvement in those types of things as the person that actually gets charged with the crime. And I don't think that's fair to anybody, that those people get to have their identities protected and still get to function as different innocent citizens of the community. They need to be prosecuted as well. And the reason why I say that is because now that you've hidden the identities of the people involved, we don't know if the mother is a teacher. We don't know if she runs a daycare out of her home. We don't know what other people might be at risk every day. Because if you would do that to your own child and say it's not the mother, it's another relative, y'all knew this was going on, because I feel like he would have had a chance to do smaller things and build up all the way until he got to a rape and a pregnancy. So it wasn't like one day he just got up and did this and nobody knew about it. I feel like this has been something ongoing. So from the TikTok video, this is just a glimpse at the comments. Somebody said they watched the case, that is the mom's boyfriend, and she did know about it. Someone else left a comment, yep, these moms always know. My mom knew. She loved him more. I'm gonna keep it real with you. That stuff was so heavy, I was crying. It was a lot. I couldn't get through all of those comments. And I looked him up on South Carolina DOC to see how much time he had gotten. He was admitted in 2018 and his release date is set for 2033. I don't work in law enforcement, but I don't think that's a lot of time. So I'm online, I'm doing more research, and I shouldn't be able to do this. It should not be such a common thing, but something told me to type in 11-year-old impregnated by her mother's boyfriend, and so many stories popped up in so many different states.
You're supposed to protect your kids, but when you fail in that responsibility, our laws, the state and police have a duty to step in. But in the case of a young Georgia girl, all her safety nets failed her. and allowed her attacker time and space to continue to abuse her. Her granddaughter has been through so much.
She has. And for her to keep living and be strong, she has an angel with her.
Police were also with her February 2016 as she got off the school bus into her grandmother's van.
All of a sudden, Grantville Police Department surrounds me.
Sophie had realized during sex education class that the man who was touching her at home was actually sexually abusing her. She told her elementary school administrators. They alerted police, and officers were now speaking to her grandmother. What did they tell you exactly?
That she claimed that he had touched her.
He was 34-year-old Nicholas Dion Thrash. He was Sophie's mother's live-in boyfriend. Lieutenant Shepard and social workers with the Division of Family and Children's Services were busy making sure Sophie is physically okay. Thrash disappears.
And it was as if he fell off the face of the earth. Where is Nicholas Thrash? Mom says that she hasn't seen him, she can't get him on the phone. We know during the interviews that the children say that Mom's talking to him on the phone.
It was Lieutenant Shepard's first sign that Sophie's mother would become one of the biggest obstacles in his investigation.
Mom did not even come to the house for the search warrant.
But Lieutenant Shepard and his team went inside and found clothes, blankets, and underwear in Sophie's room, clear with DNA evidence. But Mom still wanted the case dropped.
But Mom had started then. You know, this case, you know, my daughter's, you know, I don't think she's telling the truth. I told her then that my case is going to be based on this DNA, and that's what I'm waiting on.
There was a defects order saying Sophie needed to be kept away from Thrash. Her mother still drove her hundreds of miles out of state to reunite with Thrash in Indiana before defects could stop her. Do you think your daughter was in denial?
My daughter was brainwashed, very naive and searching and just trying to find a man to love her.
Sophie and her brother were once again sleeping under the same roof with her abuser, this time in this house in Indiana.
They were in a safety plan with me through Coweta County defects. They couldn't wait on evidence to come in, so they released them back to. What else can I do?
Grandma waited, hoping they would come back. During that time, Lieutenant Shepard was also waiting for the DNA test results.
Because at the time, we didn't have a warrant on paper yet, because there's believing somebody, but then there's getting the evidence to get the warrants.
The wait gave Thrash the space and time he needed to continue abusing Sophie outside Georgia.
Maybe I got some tunnel vision on the investigation. I didn't put a rush on the DNA.
The test results did eventually come back. Almost 2 years later, it confirmed Thrash had been raping the 9-year-old in this Troup County house. But it was too late. By then, he had raped her multiple times again in Indiana.
I'm gonna fill in a couple of blanks for you because this one video is not going to tell you everything that you need to know, especially considering that I cropped it. And then on top of that, when you read different news articles, you should go to different outlets and different channels and read different stories, because one story is not going to tell you everything. One video is not going to tell you everything. After you read a few of them, then you have more knowledge, but you still probably will never know every single thing. So that guy that was raping Sophie, he's her dad's cousin. So I said all of that to say that when a man is absent and he's not a part of his child's life, he's giving a predator access to come in and do what they want to do. In the other news article I read, they said that her dad was incarcerated, so that's why he wasn't around. Honestly, when you dealing with perverts and predators like that, they see that lady is single. He knew that he was going to be able to manipulate her. He preyed on her desperation. She didn't want to be lonely. He preyed on that, and he also preyed on the fact that his prey didn't have a man to go to that could overpower him, or that would, you know, come in and then, you know, take care of the situation on their behalf, because the daddy was locked up. So that just made it easier for him to get in there and do what he wanted to do. A lot of people failed her. Law enforcement failed her. Why did it take 2 years for the DNA to come back? And their mama is just disgusting. You skipped state lines and brought your daughter back into this man's house after what he did to her? Are you crazy? These women are out here like basically prostituting their kids. to be honest with you. Let's not forget about Shania Davis from years ago and how her mother sold her to this man and how he raped her and asphyxiated her and killed her. These mamas will cross their child out for a man or for drugs or for whatever the case may be in a heartbeat. A lot of times people want to come around and say, oh, the mother didn't know, the grandma didn't know, nobody knew, nobody could tell. How long y'all gonna keep believing that? Put your thinking cap on. You're not that dumb. So just to conclude the story about Sophie, they said that she was put into foster care. Her foster father actually ended up molesting her. She's currently in a psych ward. Her baby is also in foster care, and she has made several attempts to commit suicide. The reason why I really wanted to do this podcast is basically so I could bring awareness to these kids that are living in these unhealthy households, but really because it reminded me of what I went through when I was a teenager. So around the time I was 16 is when my mother's husband, well, it was her boyfriend at that point, when he started being kind of weird and perverted, and I would tell her about it and she would like pretty much just brush me off. So it was things like saying stuff about the clothes I was wearing that my mama bought me. It was trying to slide notes under my door with money. My mama always taught me never take money from a man because you don't know what it come with. He would try to give me money. I would tell him I didn't want his money. He'll keep trying to give it to me, and she would fuss at me saying that I was being disrespectful towards him. What else have he done? He got to the point where he started stalking me at my job. He would come to my job like 4 times a day. She knows about all of this. I'm really trying to think of everything because I should have made a list. My bedroom was next to the bathroom, so in order to leave from their room you would have to come down a narrow hallway and come to the bathroom. He would keep making multiple trips to the bathroom so that he could like listen to my conversations through the walls. He started stalking me on several social media platforms. I had to deactivate my Facebook. He started stalking me on Twitter. I had blocked him from multiple accounts, and then when his accounts got blocked, he started using other people's accounts, so I deactivated that too. He made some Instagram accounts to reach out to me. I blocked him on those. She knows about that as well. He would try to tell my mom I was uploading inappropriate pictures on social media. That was not true. He told my mom that I was on social media calling her different names. That was not true. So the tactics are that they'll start trying to manipulate your parents' mind so they can cause like a diversion and distract them from what they're doing. So I try to make it seem like all the time that you're doing something wrong. He would tell my mom that she's acting like she's inferior to me. I would work this job where I would be coming home from second shift sometimes at around like 11:30 or 12 in the morning, because I worked a shift where the night shift people would come in late, so I didn't always get to get off at the proper time. So when I would come home late, he would make a big deal out of it. Like if she didn't have a problem with it, he would make it a problem. So he'll say, you always let her come in the house late. If that was my child, I would make her sleep outside on the porch. He would say that she needs to put me out. She would tell him that he needs to help her out with the bills. He'll say, why the fuck she ain't paying the bills, all the type of stuff like that, just try to create a problem between me and my mother. And then that's when he went on to start doing the perverted stuff like stalking me. He have pulled his pants down around me. He has came out of the bathroom naked and walked down the hall. She's seen that, she knows about it. What else have he done? And this went on for years. So really starting off from 16 and then the stalking on social media and stalking in person, I was like maybe around 19. I moved out when I was 22, but like for all this time period I had to deal with all that. It was a big mental strain on me because I'm expecting my mother to be my advocate when it comes down to stuff like this. I'm not expecting to have to keep telling you over and over and over that it's progressing and it's getting out of control. Also, considering that my grandmother dated a guy when my mother was young, and my mother told me as a child, always speak up for myself. If somebody was to touch me and, you know, do anything inappropriate with me, to let her know. And she had told me like when I was in middle school that her mom dated a guy, and the guy had actually been molesting her when she was a child, and that she never spoke up for herself and told her mom. So we always had a tight relationship up until that point. but I just couldn't believe that somebody that had already went through having a pervert in the house and somebody trying to take advantage of them as a child. I was surprised that I didn't have the alliance that I was tricked into believing that I would have. So the real major moment that really sits in my mind vividly is when he and my mother got into some sort of argument, and he told her, "You're just jealous of your daughter because she looks better than you." And he also said, "I saw your daughter leaving the house to get ready to go to school, and I almost ejaculated on myself." He said this to my mom's face. So following that, she ended up putting him out of the house. I really can't remember because I tried to repress all of these memories so that I could really forgive her and move forward. But I do remember that happening. I cannot remember how long he was gone. Maybe it was 2 weeks, maybe it was a month. So in that time frame, I felt so relieved. It was the best I felt in such a long time. So me and her started communicating more because I really stopped talking to her, honestly, because the bond was gone, honestly. I was just living with her because I was full-time student. I was working 2 jobs. I was really trying to do a lot, and a lot that I was doing was keeping me out of the house, so I was able to maintain my sanity. So she would tell me prior to the incident that, you know, we don't really talk anymore. I should come converse with her, and that sometimes she doesn't even know that I'm in the house. That's how much we weren't talking. And let me tell you, this is a 1-story ranch, less than 1,000 square feet. So for you to say in this teeny tiny house that you can't even tell whether I'm there or I'm not, that really gives you a good illustration that we were not really speaking at all. So I used to stay in my room with my door locked and stuff. I really didn't interact with them, didn't eat dinner with them. We were not conducting as a family, even though to people on the outside, they probably thought everything was good. It wasn't. So once he said what he said, she put him out. We started actually communicating more. She was like trying to get me to be more vocal. So that's when I started telling her, you know, and it goes without saying, I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy here. It's uncomfortable. I don't even know why this is going on, but I don't know why she needed to hear me say that when it was obvious. But so I jumped around just to give you some background. But once he left, I thought everything was going to be good. So one day I was at work and I kept getting calls to my phone. So when I checked my phone, I had like 10 missed calls from my mama. She knows where I work at. The cell phone policy is strict. So I'm like, why she keep on calling me? So I called her back to see what the emergency was. And she said, oh, I'm sending him to your job to get your keys. You put him out. You heard what he said about me. You already know what's been going on for years. I've been telling you right as soon as it happened. It's not something I kept from you. You know about it. You changed the locks on him and now you calling me to tell me to give him my keys. Then you telling him where I work at. I already told you he stalks me at my other job. So you're going to give him some kind of permission to come to my second job? Once she said that, I said she lost. She gone. She's in a sunken place. I don't know who that is, but that is not my mama. After she said that, I just said okay, and I got off the phone because I didn't want her to know that she had upset me, because it seemed like at this point it was a game. Like internally, it was so much rage. It was like I was disappointed. I was sad. I felt betrayed again. Like I just forgave you for allowing all this stuff to go on.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
So I said something to her about it later on, and she said, well, you're an attractive girl, so that's going to happen no matter who I date. It doesn't matter about how somebody looks, whether they are homely, average, or if they are attractive. That doesn't give somebody an invitation to be disrespectful towards you or harassing me at home, online, or at my job. The only thing that really kept me motivated and moving forward is that I told myself, when I move out of this house, I'm cutting her off. Because that just didn't even make no sense right there. I expect a friend to betray me, but I ain't never think it was going to be my mama. That's crazy. So honestly, for me to think about what I went through as I was becoming an adult and I could really cope with it a lot better, I can't imagine how much pressure these kids have on them trying to tell their parents, grandparents, aunties, classmates, cousins, that somebody that their mom is dating is actually sexually assaulting them, and they don't have that support. Because it took a toll on me with just the harassment and the stalking and all that type of weird stuff. So for y'all to actually be assaulted and y'all don't have that kind of support, that hurt my soul so bad. And the other elements besides the psychological issues and the emotional stress and all that, when you do go to tell people, they will gaslight you. I deal with that as an adult. Like, I never told my family members about it because I always wanted to protect my mama's reputation. I didn't want anybody talking down on her, calling her a weak woman, or saying that she's ridiculous. Because, you know, everybody got their 2 cents to put in. I still wanted to respect her and protect her as my mama. But it's kind of senseless to try to protect somebody's reputation just by telling somebody a story about things that you experience. Because if it embarrasses her or angers her that I'm telling people about what I went through, it shouldn't have happened. And you should have stopped it, or you should have did what you needed to do. So if it's other people that see that and they think, oh, well, that's weak, that's stupid, if they want to say what they want to say about it, that's them. Why am I protecting you when you didn't even protect me? And I'm almost done, but I just wanted to say that I did finally tell somebody in my family, because I was going to actually withdraw and stop going to different family events because she's inviting him and bringing him, and it's very uncomfortable. So I wanted to tell at least one family member so that when I stop showing up, they don't think, oh, she don't deal with us no more. It might be something that we did. No, it has nothing to do with y'all. It is him. I told my grandma on my mother's side about what he did, and I told her about the night he made that comment about. So I told her I cussed him out for that, and she was like, you cussed him out in his own house? Let me get this clear. Not that it makes a difference. My mother owns that house. It's not his. He didn't even have a job when she got the house. You cussed him out in his own house? I'm glad you're not my daughter. So she said that to me a few years ago. I'm grown, I'm mature, I've came to terms with it. I have the mind to know not to really even listen to nothing that she's saying. But that just let me know a lot. That said a lot about her, because you're the one that had the boyfriend that was molesting your kids. So even if they was to tell you, you would just gaslight them because you did it to me. So I couldn't imagine a kid, like these 10-year-old girls, 11-year-old girls that's getting raped by their mama's boyfriend and carrying a whole rapist child, telling somebody that, and their family saying, you lying, be quiet, stop saying that, you need to shut your mouth, he's the man of the house, he can do what he wants to. That is beyond me. I still have because I did talk about it on Instagram briefly yesterday. I had somebody comment in my messages and tell me, you don't put that kind of information out there for the world to see. No, people need to speak up. They need to raise awareness. They need to do what's therapeutic for them. They need to reach out and get support. You don't keep your problems bottled in. And then the stuff that I'm saying is helping people. Somebody messaged me, and it was an 18-year-old girl. She said she's going through the same thing, and she can't wait till she get to where I'm at now. So